To My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. I'm Landon, joined by Austin. So glad to have Austin back, man. It's no fun whenever Austin is not in the My Dogs Are Barking studio. So very good to have Austin back, and we're going to talk about Mississippi State and Texas A&M. The preview today. Last night we had the recap episode of Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Mississippi State getting the win, 81-71 versus Ole Miss to sweep them for the series for the season. But Austin, Mississippi State getting into this part of the season where we're in the home stretch, man. And State has a game tomorrow night at home versus number 7 Texas A&M, a team that a couple weeks ago, even last week, people were talking about them as a potential outside shot at a number 1 seed. But it looks like they might be a 2 seed.
Yeah, and I'm in Texas right now currently, so my microphone might be a little scuffed, but other than that, we're good. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be another big game, and we talked about how every week's a big game. This is just another week. It's at the hump, and this is a massive game. A&M has, I mean, they're going to be a really good seed. They have a lot of momentum going into this game. I mean, we're this many games in SEC play, and they're still one of the best teams in all of the SEC. So Buzz Williams has done an excellent job this year as the Aggies head coach. And this is a big game. This is a statement game. I say that a good bit. I say that like every 3 or 4 games, but it seems like that all the time. This is a major statement game to prove that we can win, because against these bad games, especially at the hump, we've lost to Kentucky close. We lost to Alabama close. I mean, and then other games haven't even been competitive, and like the Florida game. So we really need to get a key win at the hump to get these fans, excited about something, a really big win, a top 10 SEC win. This would be monumental, and I'm so excited for this game.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot on the line for State. Honestly, a lot of potential. And you brought it up. State ESPN predictor actually has State winning this game, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think it's maybe just because we're at the hump, but it's 50.5% we're going to win. And then obviously A&M has the 49.5. So when I was looking at that today, right before we were recording, I did not believe it. But apparently the people at ESPN think that we might pull it out.
Yeah, even with home field advantage, our home court advantage, I wouldn't have thought State would have that. But we'll get into why some of those reasons are here in just a moment. I think there's some potential matchup issues for State against this A&M team. They hadn't played A&M this season, but there's a former Bulldog on that A&M basketball team. Do you remember the name, Austin? Do you remember the name of the former player?
Anderson Garcia. I really loved him at Mississippi State. I was really excited for his future, and then that same season he left.
Yeah, it was him. I think him, Derek Fountain left that same season. Derek Fountain's still playing at LSU. Well, playing is relative, but he didn't really play a lot. But he's still at LSU. But yeah, we will get into the preview and the matchup for Mississippi State and Texas A&M, what this win would mean. We'll also look at kind of where Texas A&M is in terms of the rankings overall. They're the number 11 in the net. They're 20-5. I mean, this is a really, really good team. But we're going to look at what they have remaining throughout the rest of the season. But we do want to let you know that My Dogs Are Barking is brought to you in part by ARPA's Coffee Bar there in Starkville. Tomorrow night, if you're going to the game, before the game, stop by ARPA's. Get you some caffeine, get you some food. Give it a try because it's located in the heart of the Cotton District. And here's the deal. You go in there, you give it a try, get some delicious, delicious coffee or a delicious meal. And then just mention, hey, I want to get the 15% off discount for being a My Dogs Are Barking podcast listener or MyDawgsPod listener, and they will grant you that deed. You get 15% off for delicious food or drink. So give them a try. It is, I promise you, it is worth it. It is important to do. Mississippi State played well versus Ole Miss on Sunday. On what was it, Saturday that they played?
Sunday night, I believe.
Was it last? I'm trying to remember what just happened.
No, it was Saturday
night. It's Saturday night.
Saturday
okay.
Night.
It felt kind of odd. Anyway, yeah, we get a podcast episode out though still. But yeah, played good, man. The Bulldogs were money when it came to getting turnovers and playing defense, man. They could have gotten rich on some of those defensive abilities. But hey, what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi Edward Jones advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843, and together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Austin, before we go into this Texas A&M game, I did want to see, did you have any additional thought? Because you weren't with me in the post game for Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Any kind of final closing thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I was so excited when we pulled that out. I mean, that was just a really good game on the road. We haven't had a whole lot of good games at the Hump. There's been a lot of good games. I believe the Pitt game was neutral site, and then we also had another couple good games. A really good win against Vandy. But this game was so good for the Bulldogs. And I don't know. I just felt that before the game, I predicted the Bulldogs to win. I just felt like we had more talent top to bottom than Ole Miss. And even with all the momentum on our side, that's little brother. That's little brother. And I know we had to pull it out. That's a game that we needed to win. I think Chris James is 5-1 against Ole Miss. Now he's been getting it done, and this is it. And we needed it. We really, really needed it for the rest of the season. We still got a lot of basketball to be played, and if we would have lost that game with the momentum the way it was going, we would have been in trouble. And for this A&M game, it could get ugly.
Yeah, and Neil mentioned on the show this morning. He was saying that for Mississippi State seemed like they really needed that win, and in the end, just wanted it more than Ole Miss did, and that's really what seemed to come down to. State just seemed like they were going to do everything they could to not lose that game, and gave really, really good effort, and ultimately ended up with the win that, as you mentioned, that they really needed. I mean, they were starting to kind of slide a little bit. They beat Georgia 76-75, but Georgia's talking about sliding. Georgia's really sliding. Then you lose that game versus Florida, 81-68. So getting a win there was huge. But now it brings us to tomorrow night, 6 p.m. in Humphrey Coliseum. Honestly, this is the last game at home when it comes to like big games. This is the last really big game for the home schedule. There's a couple other home games. You got LSU on March 1st. 3 days later, you got Texas coming into town, and then that's it, folks. That wraps up the season in terms of the regular season. So if you're trying to go to a game, this is going to be an interesting game because State, obviously, you want to see your home team play, but also A&M's a really good team, and A&M's a really, really well coached team as well. And they just play so well, and really that it all surrounds with Wade Taylor. Was it Wade Taylor the fourth, I believe? A dude that I thought had been in the NBA for a little bit before the season started, and I thought, oh no, never mind. But he's a guy who's going to play the entire game, and a guy who can score. Had 18 in the game versus Arkansas. Really kind of a do-it-all guard at 6 feet. I'm interested to see how State deals with him because they have several other guys who touch the ball and play as well. Zurich Phelps is a kind of a larger, or well, I guess it'd be smaller two guard. The 6'4" senior is another guy that'll play a lot throughout the game. Off the bench, Anderson Garcia. I mean, as much as we kind of joke about it, Anderson Garcia will play a good bit, probably 25 minutes or so. And then Solomon Washington is also a factor off the bench. He's going to be kind of Cam Matthews guy that to kind of match up with whenever he's on the floor. For State down low, Austin, I do want to get your thoughts about this because their guards rebound really well. Pharrell Payne, their 6'9" forward, is a guy that plays a good bit of minutes, but he's not. He's a big guy, but he's not a guy that really dominates the glass. I guess you'd say. Where do you think this game is going to be? I mean, Wade Taylor the fourth is the biggest piece that you look at and you go, okay, they've got to have this part. But honestly, down low, that their main rebounder is Solomon Washington, who's 6'7". So it's not like they have some big guy that State's going to have to deal with down low. It's dealing with the guards.
Yeah, and it's weird because I mean, this A&M team, top to bottom, is just so talented. And Josh Hubbard, as good as he is, sometimes he's not he's a smaller guy. He's not as good of a defender. He's very fast, very shifty. He can kind of stay with them, but he's not as good as a defender. So I think our guard defending is going to be so big in this game, especially with Claudio Harris, with Hubbard. It's how good can they defend? Because I feel like Keyshawn Murphy and Michael Nwoko can do enough, in the paint to have a presence defensively. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I feel like that's the key to defending this game because everybody on that team can really score. But Wade Taylor, he averages 15 points. How good is Hubbard going to be against him defending the basketball, especially around the perimeter Are they going to be able to get open shots? Well, if they're able to get open shots, this A&M team is going to hit those shots. And so they got shooters all over the court. And sometimes we don't have a good time stopping that 3-point. So that guard defense is going to be the key for the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and I feel like that's going to be boom or doom for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, they don't have, like I said, they don't have like a really big center, but they just have so many guys that play really well and shoot the ball well. And you said something I completely agree with. If State allows them to get open shots, they're a really dangerous team to hit them. There's some of these teams. Well, State played Georgia, and Georgia had open looks, but Georgia's just not a good 3-point shooting team, so they didn't knock them down. State got the win barely, right? Well, State, if they leave Texas A&M, you end up leaving. Wade Taylor open, you're going to have to deal with it. You end up leaving, what is it, Obasa? Manny Obaseki, I believe it is. Like, that's a guy who can knock him down. Anderson Garcia can, knock him down every once in a while. So there are several guys on the team that can contribute from the 3-point line, but it's just so deep. And it's also, there's a lot of juniors and seniors on the Texas A&M team just going up and down the roster. So they're a very experienced team. But you know what's funny, Austin? If you had to guess what the line is, what the Vegas line is for this game, who do you think's favored and by how much?
Ooh, I'm gonna say A&M by 4 points. That's my guess. It's at the hump, so I think they're going to put the game a little closer.
According to Vegas Insider, it is Mississippi State favored by 3.5.
Really? Dang.
Yeah, I just
really
don't
believe in us.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they saw. And another thing for Texas A&M coming up has a really tough game. So A&M has State on Tuesday. Like, they just played on Saturday. A&M has State on Tuesday after being at home for the past 2 games. Then they play Tennessee on Saturday, and that's a huge game because that's the kind of game that really starts to determine seeding in the SEC tournament, which obviously helps you out later on. Then you got Vanderbilt 4 days later, which is no fun because Vanderbilt's playing really well. I mean, Vanderbilt took Tennessee to the wire. And then, Austin, get this. Then they have at Florida and Auburn at home. Tennessee's got A&M's got a lot coming up. And so maybe they're wondering if they're going to, I don't know, overlook some of maybe that as a roadblock. I don't know. But it's just kind of interesting to me to think that State is favored in this game. Based upon the skid that they had, just here recently.
No, for sure. I mean, we're not. I said this the last episode I was on. We're not the same team we were a month ago, and I think it's for the worst. Honestly, we have a lot of stuff to figure out, but I mean, that Ole Miss game kind of shut both of us up. I mean, when it comes to momentum wise, and when it comes to how the trajectory of our season was going. So who knows? Who knows? I mean, this game's at the hump. We could really pull this game out. To be honest, just the way the past month has going, I'm leaning more towards A&M to pull it out. But I mean, if ESPN, if Vegas is thinking that this game might go 50-50, I might be right there with it. It's going to be a great game. I don't think there's going to be a blowout by any means. I don't think A&M is going to blow us off the court, or I don't think we're going to blow them off the court. I really think this is going to be a tight game. And I mean, even if we win, this game really hurts A&M. Like you said, I mean, this game could be a little sleeper game for them. They got a lot more to focus on. But I mean, there is no sleeper game in the SEC, and don't sleep on the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and for State, this is, as we mentioned, I mean, they have Alabama here next week and next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, and that's a huge opportunity. But this is their last big game at home, and so after that, then it's kind of cruising when it comes to home games. But yeah, I mean, well, you look at, if you were to say, State shot 26% from 3, and Hubbard only had 14. I think we would all thought like, oh man, they would have lost. But State played that old school defense that Jans plays, and see, if they played that type of defense, you can score 80 points and win the game. And that's what happened against Ole Miss. The question is, can they shut down Wade Taylor? They do not need to get into a scoring kind of shootout, because we've already been proven versus Kentucky and versus Alabama, State cannot win those games. So we're going to take a brief break. Whenever we come back, we are going to look at kind of the outlook for the remainder of Mississippi State's season. Austin, I do want to give you credit. You did end up predicting Mississippi State beating Ole Miss in the last game. I thought State was going to lose that game. Um, I do want to get your thoughts on this game before we go to the break. In the end, are you sticking with Texas A&M in this game, or do you think State has an? I see the shot, I see the potential they have to win it. I just have trouble putting confidence in it.
Yeah, I often say I like to be right, and I would love to pull the Bulldogs. I would love to pick them, but I can't. I got to pick the Aggies. I mean, they've proven a lot this season to be ranked. What are they, number 7 in the country? Still, I mean, we're halfway through February, and they're still, number 7 in the country after all these games, after the gauntlet every team is going through. I got to pick the Aggies. I don't care if it's a sleeper game. I don't think Buzz Williams is going to have those boys, thinking about Auburn when they're playing Mississippi State. We're not a team like that where you can really think about another team. I mean, they're going to be focused on us, and I think they're going to be able to play. And I don't know. I don't know how good our defense is going to be. I mean, like I said, I mean, all over the board, they got scores, and they don't have a guy. I mean, Wade Taylor only averages 15 points, but they got guys that can consistently score in double digits. They got multiple guys. And, I feel like we really struggle with that. I mean, some guy can get 30 points, but I mean, the real killers is when everybody can score, and so I feel like, like just like you said, we don't want to be in a scoring battle with them where we're, it's a 3-point contest and we're just going back and forth. We do not want to do that. That's the last thing we want to do. And, I just think they're going to be too much, offensively for us. And I hate to do it, but I got to pick the Aggies. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. And Texas A&M played really. Their resume is really good because of the front half of the season in particular. I mean, they have wins versus Ohio State and Creighton and Texas Tech and Purdue. I mean, they really did really well in the non-conference in the beginning of the season. And then they're 7-5 when it comes to quad one games. So actually, they're one game better in quad one games than we are. But their competition, I mean, they played really good teams outside of the SEC as well. So we're going to take a quick break to hear about some ads from MPW Digital, and then we will look at kind of the remainder of the outlook of this week for Mississippi State. Also take a look at their quad one, quad two wins, and just kind of look at where their resume sits. We'll be right back after this.
All MPW digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly.
Barkin on MPW Digital. And for this section of the show, Austin, we kind of talk about that matchup. Some of the things that can give State problems is the amount of different guys that can score for Texas A&M, and they play really solid defense. But for Mississippi State, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here. If you're watching on YouTube, which we always say is if you can, is a good call, because you can see the outside of seeing my face, you at least get to see some So different things on your screen. So what we have right now is just kind of showing Mississippi State's kind of their resume right now. 6-6 in quad 1 games. Ole Miss was their 6th win there. 4-1 in quad 2 games. Their only loss being to Butler, which unfortunately has been a worse loss as the season has gone on. 2-0 versus in quad 3 games, 6-0 in quad 4, as it should be. But State has 3 more quad 1 games in a row, which will close out their 8 quad 1 games in a row that they have had. So with a win over Texas A&M, you'd have to imagine State gets into the mid 20s to lower 20s. I was maybe 25 or so would be a big jump in the net and really help them out, push them to 7 quad 1 wins, which again would really help you out, especially with the games you have upcoming for Mississippi State. As of this morning, Austin, Joe Lunardi, now he did not factor in the Ole Miss win, so that might affect it, might not, but he had Mississippi State as an 8 seed, and that was before the Ole Miss win, so that might bring them down to a 7. I'm not so sure. With what is remaining on the schedule, do you feel like staying at 7 is possible?
It's definitely possible. Just because we still have to play A&M and Alabama. Those would be really good wins. But I hate to say this. I don't see it happening. Mississippi State has lost some games in the past month that they should not have lost, and I think that's going to cost us because we still have, if you go to there are remaining games, we still have Oklahoma, I believe Arkansas, I think we have LSU still. Those are all not in Texas. Those teams are not ranked. I think that's going to really cost us if we lose those games, and we tend to play down to our competition sometimes. So, we can, those A&M games, those Arkansas games, we can lose those. But I think the major key is those non-conference games that we need to win the games that we are, favored to win. Those are massive, massive games for us. And if we want to stay consistent, if we want to get a good seed in the tournament, we need to lock in for those non-conference games, and we need to win every single one of them. We need to beat Texas. We need to beat Arkansas and Oklahoma. And I think we still have to play LSU. We really need to win those games. Those are going to be key matchups because Alabama and A&M, the way the season has gone on, I don't think we're going to win those games, just looking at it right now. So those non-conference games, I can't express how important those are for the Bulldogs to win.
Yeah, and looking here at what Joe has, and of course this will change, but it's just kind of fun to look at. But Joe Lunardi currently has Mississippi State as an 8 seed in Raleigh, in the Duke in Duke's bracket, which is horrible. So if State was to get by Baylor, which is, for the love of Pete, Baylor was a number 1 seed, was it last year or the year before? Not a fun team to play. Then you got Ole Miss here as a 5, and again these will change, and McNeese here as well. So, but you see, Austin, that this is the reason. Kind of what we're talking about. This is the reason why not being an 8 or a 9 seed is so important. Because if you want this team, this is the 3rd season of Chris Jans. You need to move. If you win 1 game, it's a step in the right direction, right? State needs to win at least 1 game to kind of move a little closer in the right direction. And you just being one of those seeds is problematic for what they need to accomplish.
Yeah, I think it would be cute, that we had a good season and all this, it was fun. But if we lose in the first round, who cares? Let's be honest. It's his third game, 3rd season. Talking about the committee, whoever puts this together. We're probably going to have a dang hard team, that first game to win. It's going to be some crazy team, but we need to win. We really need to win. I could care less of who we beat in the regular season if we get out in the first round. And, I think most Mississippi State fans are going to feel that exact same way after we lose that, first round game. So we really need a really just, it doesn't have to be, it can be an ugly game. It can be, be like, we should have lost, the refs were on our side or whatever. As long as we win 1 game, I think it would be monumental for the upcoming, recruiting class coming in. It would just be, bring so much hype for the fan base. It would be so good because we're due for a win after the past 2 years have just been heartbreaking for us. The play-in game and then last year against Michigan State were just absolutely heartbreaking. We're due for a game, and Josh Hubbard, it would be very nice if he led us to a win this year. I know Mississippi State fans really want it.
Yeah, well, and it's funny though that if they are playing the defense that they're capable of playing, I mean, that's the team that can win 2 games just because they create Cam Matthews creates matchup problems. Sorry, I'm gonna let you take a little bit more. I gotta get another sip.
Nah, you good. Yeah, like you said, Cam Matthews, he hasn't really stepped up offensively. He just had 6 points against Ole Miss, and then, the past couple games he hadn't been playing very well. But defensively, every single game, he's playing hard. He's playing a lot of minutes most games, and, we're really going to need him on this back half of the season to really lock in and really just step up.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree. Thanks for saving me there. I thought I was about to choke all over the place. So yeah, you're exactly right. So we'll see where it goes, but you got to win tomorrow night to really put yourself in a better spot. Because if you end up losing, or let's just say you end up winning that game, Oklahoma is a game you should win. Oklahoma's kind of sputtering. You lose to Alabama. You should beat LSU. Texas and Arkansas both have odd feet. I got a weird feeling about both of them. Texas, they have scores, man. They have guys, Trey Johnson, like they have guys who can hit the 3 at a consistent level, and State just doesn't do well against that. I mean, it just doesn't do well. And then Arkansas is kind of a fun, kind of an interesting team because they want to get in bad. And Calipari's had Mississippi State's number for a while. So a win here would go a really, really long way. But yeah, that's tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Very excited about that game. Do want to let you know that we will have a recap of that game and then also a preview for Saturday's game for Mississippi State when they travel to Oklahoma on Saturday. That should be interesting. I'll be in Starkville on Saturday. Got a 5K in Starkville to get to run through. It's going to be freezing cold. Not looking forward to that. But on Friday's edition of the show, kind of a My Dogs Are Barking Extra, we have a real treat, man. We'll talk about it again here in a couple of days. But Michael Smoke, who's the owner of Higher Up Wellness, will be on the show. And just for some people, if you're kind of looking at your New Year's resolutions not going the way you wanted it to go and needing to shed a couple pounds for summertime, Michael has his platform online has skyrocketed. I mean, just well over a million followers on different social medias. And he just gives really good practical tips. And so I just thought, man, he'd be kind of a good person to get in here to learn from as a guy who's lost a good bit of weight himself, but also built a lot of muscle and just has some really good practical tips, especially with the flow of life and the busyness of life. He's going to be somebody I'm looking forward to. He's helped me out a lot personally. Just from learning some of his methods and content. It's all simple stuff. He always says it's not easy, but it is simple, and he'll kind of spell out things from there. So that'll be on Friday. Looking forward to that. And make sure you're subscribed to MPW Digital on all platforms. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, just at MyDawgsPod, and let us know who you got in this game, by how much, and we will catch you on next episode on Thursday. See you then.